Now to the Catholic commentator Luke Devlin. Thank you very much for coming on the programme. Just want to start with getting your initial thoughts and reflections at this moment.
Well, it was shocking news after having seen him address St Peter's Square yesterday. We were all expecting a few months' convalescence, certainly, as he was gravely ill, but nonetheless, a shocking turn of events. And I think for those of us involved in the social teaching of the Church, the advocacy for refugees, asylum seekers, climate change, the works of mercy, Francis was an incredibly strong advocate for practical, applied theology actually making a difference. His encyclical Laudato Si really making the link between climate change and global inequality. He talks of the cry of the earth and the cry of the poor, something he got from theologian Leonardo Boff. And these resources and that encouragement that he offered was really transformational within the Church, of course, building on traditional Catholic social teaching and the encyclicals of previous popes as well. But nonetheless, providing a bit of a new and opening the windows of the Church and letting in a bit of new light, so to speak. And I think that was massively encouraging and allowed people to take another look at the Church. We saw recent survey data which shows an upsurge in church attendance, especially among the young. And I think part of that is sometimes called the surprising rebirth of Christianity, a kind of cultural moment where people are looking again at some of the doctrines of the faith, maybe being alienated from cost of living and materialism and consumerism and wanting wanting something more. So I think looking at it
just on some of the points that you've raised there, that balancing act between the different depths of feeling on a more conservative side in the Church, more progressive side on the Church. How do you feel overall he straddled that? He kept that balance? Because, of course, he was fiercely criticised at times from both sides.
That's right, and certainly with such a massive global community of faith, as well as the Curia of the Vatican itself, which he engages in some work of reform around. It's incredibly complex and nuanced in terms of trying to evaluate that, especially so soon. There were certainly some issues for some around his suppression of the observation of the traditional Latin Mass pre-Second Vatican Council, where Pope Benedict's liberalisation, allowing any priest to celebrate under that rubric, was curtailed by Pope Francis because he felt it was creating sects within the Church who would see that as the only valid form of Mass, and they wouldn't practice the so-called Novus Ordo, the Mass in the vernacular in English and other vernacular languages. And that was an ongoing debate and point of friction among what you could call traditionalists and progressives within the Church. But I sometimes think these divisions are not as black and white as you would think, because those who practice or who celebrate solemn, reverent liturgy and have a lot of love for traditional forms, such as myself, would also be associated with strong social justice advocacy and the social teaching of the Church. There's also questions around the abuse crisis within the Church and accountability and reform for that, whether he took enough action on that and whether he also was involved in individual cases with people that were close to him that were less than satisfactory. But for now, we are grieving the Holy Father. We're shocked by the news, and he's going to leave an incredibly powerful legacy that we're going to be drawing on for a long time to come.
Luke Devlin, thank you very much for your thoughts at this moment. We appreciate your time. Thank you. We're going to speak now to BBC Radio presenter and Vatican